All right. Hey, everyone. Hope you guys are doing good. I thought I would go ahead and just come on and continue doing chapter readings through book one. And that way, this gives you guys the feel of what the series like starts out as. And then hopefully by the time I get done reading book one, you will have a little bit better understanding of the trajectory of where I am taking this series. But before I get into chapter six's reading, um, if you look in the description below, you're going to see some information. And what I have done, and this won't start until tomorrow, basically midnight tonight. I think it goes by Eastern Standard Time. But once a month on Amazon, they allow me to offer the ebook version of my books for free. And I get five days total throughout a 3-month period. And so what I have done is I have 1 day left for book one. And so those of you who have not taken advantage of getting my books for free, you will have tomorrow for book one, only 1 day, but then for book two, and then the brand new release of book three, you're going to have 2 days. So book one, 1 day only tomorrow, but then book two and three starting tomorrow, you'll have Tuesday and Wednesday to download those books. And let me go ahead and show you what the cover of book three looks like. Book three is The Song Remains. And of course, the majority of book three remains in the Shadowlands. And let me go ahead and show you the world map, because now we're covering more geography in the Shadowlands. And so as you can see, you've got Elyndor, and then there's a landmass that is the Black Scar Lands. That's the realm of the Karum. And then you have Brackenholm, which has several different provinces in there. And basically book two and continuing in book three and in book four, a lot of what takes place happens in Brackenholm. And you'll see more characters introduced in book three. And of course, Daniel is also in Brackenholm. And so you've got some main characters from book one that is from Elyndor that have now moved into the Shadowlands. And so just wanted to give you guys a sneak peek into the cover for book three. And then I have already started book four. Book four will be called Song of the Dragon, the Song of the Remnant. And so I'm just gonna, just keep plugging along, getting this entire saga written out and completed. I would say I'm with the end of book three, I am about halfway through, maybe a little bit more than halfway through. I am estimating that there'll be at least a book five and possibly a book six. Just depending on how things are going with the characters and all the twists and turns that are coming up as I'm writing this. Because like for those of you that have followed along, This is going off an original manuscript that I wrote over 30 years ago. And of course, I'm trying to make sure that I weave in the original story, but coming back to it over 30 years later, there's been a lot of new additions into the story while keeping the original heart of my original story all those years ago. Okay, so getting back to book one, which is the songs of the first dawn. I'll just show you the map really quick here. This is Elyndor, the Garden of Everlight, and there's several realms within Elyndor. There's Rocky Mire, which is the realm of the trolls, Mountain Vale, which is the realm of the dragons, and then you have the Tree of Everlight, and then you have Glimmerwood, which is the realm of the satyrs, and then you have Hollow Peak, which is the realm of the unicorns. And then, of course, the cursed realm in my series is called the Shadowlands. And so that's where like book two starts taking everybody to, is the Shadowlands and kind of what that looks like. And so book two is called The Song Unbroken. And then here is here is the map that you will find in book two. All right, so now we will let me get my image up. Okay, so this is the image for the opening of chapter 6 in book 1. So let me go ahead and get to my chapter here. And the KJV verse for chapter 6 is, "Awake, thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Christ shall give thee light," from Ephesians 5:14. Okay, chapter 6, the echo in the abyss. When light crowns the highest peaks, even the deepest stones remember what they were first shaped to hold, from the songs of the first dawn. Across Elyndor, the realms trembled. Mountain winds stilled mid-whisper. Forest leaves shivered as if a storm had passed, though no cloud shadowed their branches. Far seas lifted and fell in a slow, reverent rhythm, as though the waters themselves were catching their breath. The covenant had been spoken in Mountain Vale, in the heart of the dragon's lands, and its words were for the dragons alone. But the light that crowned the heights could not be contained. It spilled over cliff and valley, brushed the edges of Glimmerwood, traced silver along the ridges of Hollow Peak, touched the stone-lit pools of Rocky Mire by those who remained, and sent a faint, shimmering pulse even into the forgotten places, even into the dark, even into the abyss. Deep beneath the mountains, where no dragon had flown in an age, a cavern shook with a low, grinding tremor. Dust drifted from the jagged ceiling. Iron rattled against carved stone. The air, usually thick and unmoving, throbbed with a strange, pulsing warmth. 3 trolls huddled near the mouth of a narrow fissure where a thin seam of sky could be glimpsed. It was not much, just a sliver where the rock had failed to seal completely. But through it they could see a distant glow flaring along the outline of a far-off peak, Mountain Vale. Pog squinted up through the crack, his heavy brow furrowing. The light on the horizon was unlike the dull glow of lava rivers or the red sheen of the abyssal pits. This was higher, purer, like a shard of the first dawn remembering how to rise. Beside him, Room shifted nervously, claws scraping the stone as he paced in tight circles, circles that kept bringing him back to the same rock he bumped with a yelp every time. It's brighter, he whispered, wide eyes. Did you see that? It flared again. It's not stopping. It's the dragons, Draco muttered, voice low and taut. Broader than the other two, slate dark shoulders knotted with muscle from years of forced labor. He watched the tunnels with wary stillness. Has to be. He's up there with them. They did not need to say the name. Pog's jaw tightened. Druman. To the dragons he wore borrowed skin. Raymond. A smooth black dragon with flawless scales, a counterfeit majesty crafted for deception. To the trolls of the abyss, he was nothing but shadow and fire and teeth, a master of whispers, heat and cruel experiments that left scars deeper than flesh. Room's voice shook. He's been gone too long. Too long. He said it wouldn't take this long. Quiet, Draco hissed, glancing toward the cavern depths where the overseer imps lurked like rats. You want them hearing you squeal? Room hunched, but continued pacing, tripping yet again on the same stone. Pog ignored them both. The glow over Mountain Vale pulsed bright, then brighter still until the thin edge of the fissure glowed gold. It painted their faces with the color the abyss had not seen in centuries. Room swallowed hard. He took the potion. We brewed it right. We followed every instruction. He said it would let him pass among them. He said, I know what he said, Pog murmured. He remembered it too well. They had mixed that foul concoction. They had watched Druman change, his monstrous, ogre-like body ripping as ruined flesh knit itself smooth. Cracked horns folding into a perfect crown, every grotesque line melting into the polished elegance of a dragon's form. They had watched the monster become a lie, and they had let him go. Another flare washed gold through the crack. A tremor followed, light, distant, but nothing in the abyss made the earth tremble like that. Pog leaned close, broad fingers braced against the stone. From here he could not see the dragons, nor the garden, nor the place where Yeshariel had spoken. But he could see the mountain, and the mountain glowed. Hope tugged faintly in his chest, an ache he didn't want and didn't trust. Behind him, an overseer's lash cracked, and a troll cried out as iron bit hard into flesh. Draco flinched. Room whimpered. Pog remained still, and he remembered. Long before the abyss, the trolls dwelt in splendor. Not grandeur like the dragons, but a quiet beauty all their own. When his hammer struck, the stones sang. He loved that song. It began with a whisper. At first, Pog thought it was just the molten rivers shifting. Then it became a voice, not in his ears, in the rock. Pog. It knew his name. It knew his pride, his strength, his longing for something beyond the river paths he tended. You uphold the mountain, the whisper crooned, yet those above never see the fires beneath their feet. Tell me, Pog, is that just? Pog resisted at first. They treat us not unkindly, he thought. They laugh with us. They trade with us. They look down on you, the voice murmured. Always above, always brighter, always greater. And you, foundation that you are, live unseen. A bruise in Pog's heart, one he had never acknowledged, pulsed. Still he resisted, for a while. But the whisper returned cycle after cycle, waiting for him in the glow of the molten rivers, circling around his hammer strikes, praising his strength, admiring his endurance, telling him what he had never dared to believe. You are meant for more. And Pog listened. One cycle, the whisper called him deeper, past the carved rings of safe stone, down a narrow fissure where the air thickened and the glow dimmed. Come, it urged, see what they hid from you. At the edge of a black chasm, he hesitated. The fire below churned restlessly, heat rising in twisted spirals. The stone under his foot shifted, unnaturally, like a door giving way. He stumbled. A claw caught his wrist. Not dragon, not troll, something ruined and glorious and terrible. Drummond rose from the chasm. Ah, he said, voice dripping triumph. There you are. In the beginning, Drummond surrounded Pog with praise. He spoke of strength, of destiny, of hidden truths meant only for him. He let Pog walk where others were forbidden and treated each obedience as proof of some greater purpose. He offered him freedom. Freedom to walk between Rocky Mire and the abyss. Freedom to speak to others. Freedom to carry messages. Freedom to be chosen. You are strong, Drummond told him. The others trust you. Use that. Bring them to me. And Pog obeyed, not because he was broken, but because he believed the lie. The first troll Pog brought never returned. The second came back chained and screaming, his mind shattered, his voice ragged from begging for a mercy Drummond did not grant. Pog had shaken, Pog had wept, Pog had begged Drummond to stop. Drummond only smiled. Mercy, he purred. Then bring me more, Pog. Bring me those you trust. Bring me those who trust you. Do this and I will spare the ones you choose. That was when Pog broke in the quietest, most terrible way. Because he did have two he could not bear to see harmed. Room, the wide-eyed youngling who had followed Pog everywhere in the old days, mimicking the way he swung a hammer, asking endless questions that made the elders groan. Fragile, nervous, soft-hearted. Draco, Pog's closest friend since their first days tending the molten rivers together. Strong, steady, unshakable, except when shadows whispered. Then Draco listened only to Pog. They had trusted him long before the abyss. They had stepped beyond the safe rings because he asked. They had followed him into the dark because they believed he would never lead them anywhere dangerous. And that was the lie Drummond fed upon. Pog named them because he could not bear to lose them. He named them because their faces rose before him at night. Room with his lopsided grin, Draco with his stubborn loyalty, and the thought of either chained in the abyss made him tremble. Drummond's smile widened. Good, he murmured. Keep them close. And so Room and Draco walked unchained, not because they were favored, not because they were strong, not because Drummond cared, but because their freedom was a knife Drummond pushed deeper every cycle. Because their lives tethered Pog to obedience. Because Pog believed he could still protect them. Because every time he looked at them, he remembered the truth. Their chains had been spared only because he had brought them here. And guilt, Drummond knew, is a stronger bond than iron. Only after Pog had lured others, only after he had crossed lines he could not uncross, only then did Drummond punish him. Not with chains, with fire that wrapped around his spirit, with whispers that cut deeper than blades. By the third punishment, Pog understood. He had brought himself here, and he could not leave. A tremor jolted the cavern floor, snapping Pog back to the present. Room bumped the same stone again and yelped. Draco glared at him. Try pacing in a straight line, he growled. I am in a straight line, Room protested, immediately tripping again. That's a rock, Room, Draco muttered. It wasn't there a moment ago, Room insisted. It was, Pog said tiredly. It's been there since before we were born. Room blinked, then narrowed his eyes at the rock. I'm watching you. The rock predictably did nothing. Pog exhaled. Draco lowered his voice. Do you think he failed? I don't know, Pog answered honestly. But you saw him change, Room said. You helped make the potion. You saw him go. So if that light isn't him, then something stood against him, Draco finished, teeth flashing. Room shuddered. Pog looked again at the crack in the stone. The brilliant glow over the mountain had begun to soften. Not vanish, but settle into a lingering, gentle radiance. He should have felt dread. He should have feared for his life. He should have trembled knowing Drumon's wrath would soon fall like fire. Instead, something small and stubborn stirred inside him. A memory, a song, a hope. Something older than the abyss, something Drumond had never quite killed. As the last light over Mountain Vale faded from blinding gold to soft embers, Pog felt, deep in the place no punishments had reached, a quiet, impossible thought rising. What if a power greater than Drumond had risen today? What if the mountain glowed because the light above the world had spoken? What if hope still lived? He did not dare speak the thought aloud. In the abyss, hope was dangerous, but as the final shimmer of covenant light slipped from sight, a single ember in Pog's soul glowed warm, faint, fragile, alive. For the first time since he had stepped into Grumman's grasp, something inside him began very softly to stir. All righty. And then there is the closing image of Pog. Poor Pog. All righty. And I see somebody's commenting in the live chat. Hello, Ben. Are you still there, Ben? I was reading my Word document, so I didn't see if anybody else had come in. But yeah, I'm just here. I just got done reading chapter 6 of my book, Song of the Dragon, the Songs of the First Dawn. And of course, here is the world map for anybody that is new or just came into the stream. And then here is book 2. It continues the saga. Pog is in book 2, Song of the Dragon, the Song Unbroken. A good portion starts to take place in what I have called the Shadowlands. And then book 3 has just now been released. It's available on Amazon, Song of the Dragon, The Song Remains. And yes, in book 3, humans are revealed. And so you'll have to read this series to understand how do humans relate to the dragons of Elyndor. And of course, here is the world map for book 3. As you can start to see different areas in what I have called the Shadowlands. So just a quick recap. Because book 3 is now available on Amazon, if you look in the description of this video, you will see the links because you can get the ebook to all 3 of my books absolutely free. It's starting tomorrow, basically at midnight, and I think it's Eastern Standard Time. I have 1 day left of the promotion, so book 1 is only available tomorrow only. But then book 2 and book 3, you get 2 days starting tomorrow to download those books. So please take advantage of this. This is my way of just freely giving what God has given to me, and just sharing the spiritual lessons that are woven into this entire series. And each book covers something different, something that if you look at your own life, you will see that you have walked through. You will be able to relate your own life, probably with several of the fictional characters in my story. And that's the intention, is to get you to like relate to the struggles and the trials that the different characters are going to go through, and the different sorrows and the grief that they will experience. Because in our real world, we have a lot of these same griefs and struggles as believers. So all right, guys, I'm going to end it there. I'll be back next week to read chapter 7. And if you haven't seen the other videos, I do have a playlist for book 1 in or on my channel, Song of the Dragon, the Songs of the First Dawn. So, either, get the ebook and start reading it for yourself, or if you, just want to, listen to the chapter readings, just find the playlist here on my channel and go back and just start from the very first one. All right, guys, take care. God bless. And